Train now, then spend your whole life being a champion. Sounds great, doesn't it? But it's probably not doable, because you may burn out. Now, Ali Abdaal's book, Feel Good Productivity, tries to combat that. And I'm going to summarise the key points, because you can work as efficiently and as hard as you like. But if you're not doing it with joy, you're likely to burn out. You may well have heard of Ali Abdaal. He's a famous YouTuber, and he's been inspirational to me over the years. However, he was also a doctor, and he's come up with his first book. There's a few nice stories in it, such as him being in a hospital and overhearing other patients saying how good the staff are, and him begrudgingly having to put a cannula in, and it would take an extra 30 minutes. He'd rather go home and listen to some audiobooks. One thing's for sure, if a cannula took me 30 minutes, I still wouldn't be working in the NHS. However, he's not working as a doctor anymore, so don't worry about that. The other thing he mentioned about in hospitals is one patient said to him, "You're the only person who works here who smiles." It's a bit of a shame that he stopped working in the NHS, but the benefit is he's wrote a great book, so I'll tell you everything about this. Now, these findings from working in the hospital led to a revelation that really, firstly, you need to feel positive, because that's the key to then becoming successful. And if you can improve your mood, and your mood then needs to improve, that'll help you become effective. So in essence, you've got a productivity boost from having a positive mind. In essence, do more of what matters to you. Now, unfortunately, for most people who aren't very successful YouTubers, you've still got jobs to do and things. Never fear, there's still things for all of us out there. Book's broken down into 3 sections. The science of positivity, 3 ways to energize you, play, power, people. If you want to know more about positivity, I've summarized this book here at great length, and that's one of the key best sources about positivity, which is also mentioned in this book. Second part is overcoming procrastination. That could be caused by uncertainty, fear, or inertia. Third part, and the final part, is to sustain and tackle burnout. Now, burnout could be categorized as overexertion, depletion, misalignment, and the ways to tackle these are to conserve, recharge, and align. Well, what is work? The key thing is that successful people think of work as fun, as play, and they integrate a playful spirit into work. So whatever you do, you need to look for that element of fun. Curiosity is also key. So this makes you focus more. There's a lovely Japanese word called Soshin, and this describes this concept of a beginner's mindset. And we want to actually keep a beginner's mindset, because then we view things with an open mind and with that curiosity. And by doing that, we can think of new approaches. And in addition, it'll help reduce stress, and it will help you being playful. And the other thing it's important to do is to try and behave sincerely rather than with seriousness. So consider trying to gamify your life. You may want to think, well, this is something I'll step into the right personality. There's a few personalities you could try: collector, competitor, explorer, creator, storyteller, joker, director, or kinesthesis. I think that must be the joker in me sabotaging that word. But the thing is, I've just failed something. I don't really care about that. And that's because I've reframed how I think about failure. It's a learning process. That's the key thing. And if you're primed to become more confident at a task, or performing in a sport, for example, it will help you, because then your belief improves your ability, and ultimately you will become more effective at that task. So what does that mean? Well, you could prime yourself by being your own hype team, and that will actually make you look more confident and act like that already. So there's a few other lovely concepts. Vicarious success. This is seeing others succeed with sustained effort, and it helps you believe that you can succeed. So Ali is a great inspiration there because he's continued with YouTube and he's succeeded. Therefore we can all improve. Whoopee. Inactive mastery. This is actually learning through doing. That doesn't quite make sense there. Maybe it is active mastery, but anyhow, the protege effect. You don't need to be a guru to be a guide. You really just need to be one step ahead of the other people, and that can reinforce your own learning. So generally, you can take ownership of a process of how you work. You may not be able to do much to impact what you do at your work, but you can often take ownership of your attitude, of how you'll bring to work, and also how you'll actually do the work. And that's your mindset. What we don't want to have is that I have to do this mindset, I've got to do this. Instead, reframe it as choose to do this. That will help select the right attitude. People, it's not a zero-sum game. We want to have this comrade mindset, working together, collaborating with others. And it's also good to practice kindness, but not just any kindness, random acts of kindness, because that will boost your overall well-being and it will help others, of course. Now there's the Benjamin Franklin effect. That's if others help us, they'll be more likely to like us, because, well, that's what it is. So in essence, we should ask for help more. And generally people underestimate that others want to help them. So try to actually ask for help from the other person. Say how good the person is and why they're great. So Ali, we've never met in person, but we're LinkedIn friends. You're truly inspirational. You've written a great book. I've put a bit of effort into both reading it and making this YouTube video. It would be kind if you could share this. Yeah, if that happens, I'll be really surprised, but anyway, that would be good news. And the key about receiving good news is to over communicate it, because other people want to hear positive things and then they can react to it. And when other people tell you that they've got good news, don't just go all right and then talk about something else. Actively say, this is fantastic, this book's become a bestseller, fantastic. Constructively respond to the other people's good news, but also outline it's not just chance, it's because of their effort that they've put in over time. And good things have come because of the good things that they've done. Now we can show commander's intent, and that is, what is the purpose? Why do you want something? Then take steps forward to obtain it. Again, almost gamifying things. But why do you want something? Well, we want to ultimately know our ultimate purpose. And we can do that by asking why 5 times, like the Toyota process of improvement. But that lets you drill down to why you actually want something. And then, once we've got the why, we can move to the what. And that is actually goal planning. And note, when we're goal planning, we don't want to become fixated on the outcome, because that doesn't help us enjoy the journey. If I was fixated on this YouTube video having 1 million views, I'll be disappointed, because it's very, 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 very unlikely to. But what I can control is putting this YouTube video out, and thanks if you're watching that far, or this far, because what I want to do is have fun. And if I focus too much on the outcome, it loses the fun. So a NICE goal, this is a new concept. It stands for near-term, input-based, in which we emphasize the process, controllable and energizing. And this is almost a way of chunking down one of these SMART goals that are specific, measurable, accessible, and they're realistic. That tends to be a longer term thing. That's the kind of thing that you have in an appraisal. What are your SMART goals? But if they're nice goals, they can be the shorter term things that improve and take you towards your SMART goal. So the crystal ball technique, what is it? Well, it's used for planning. And this means you're thinking, I'm trying to do this, but what are the obstacles that I'll face? What are the 3 top obstacles that I'm likely to face so that will stop some plan occurring? And then we can think of ways to mitigate against those obstacles and think, what are the reasons and how can we mitigate against them? So take action. Ask when, plan the time to do it, then actually do it. And we can always use our electronic calendars to help prompt implementation interventions, but we can also put triggers in our environment to help us. If we do this, then that happens. So reward yourself. But talking about calendars, we want to block off specific time for tasks that we're actually avoiding, then do them. So look at your to-do list and also turn it into a schedule, your week plan to achieve this. And in honesty, this is exactly what I do all the time when I'm planning my calendar, so this is great advice. But what you want to do is get the important things added into your diary. But the challenge is then to also balance in fun things with the work. And remember, your plan isn't rigid, it's not set in stone. It's a goal, but if you don't achieve it and you don't do what you plan to achieve that day, don't be hard on yourself. Show some flexibility. Because importantly, when planning your diary, we want to also find what blocks our good moods and eliminate these. Fear. Now we've all got fears, but how do we overcome them? Starting off by labeling them. By naming and acknowledging our fears, this will help our own understanding. There's the 10-10-10 rule that you've probably heard before. Would I be worried about this in 10 minutes, 10 months, or 10 years? The answer is maybe in 10 minutes, but probably not in 10 years. And that may help reframe and reduce your worries. And what are you actually afraid of? Where does fear come from? Is it me or them? And if something doesn't go well, then really so what? Because other people aren't watching. They've got a thing called the spotlight effect, which is they're focusing on what they're doing, on themselves, not what you're doing. Labeling. We need to take advantage of labeling. Give yourself good labels. So I describe myself, like Ali, as a lifelong learner. And this will help us move forward with the curiosity mindset that was mentioned earlier. We want to remove barriers to action. Possess a bias to action instead. And by that we can break things down. And we can also think about a decision. We can put it down to 3 options so that it's something we can think through. And then with that we could think, what steps do we need to take of the option I've decided? If you're putting off something, try a 5-minute test. And that's saying, I'll focus on this task I've been putting off for 5 minutes. And at the end of 5 minutes, you may think, I'll just stop and I'll go back to whatever. That's fine. But most of the time, you then keep working on it because you've got that flow state and you've made progress. And if not, you can put 5 minutes into the task later if it's very important. Inertia is difficult, but we can overcome that by providing encouragement and also finding accountability buddies. So there was mention about this group online study sessions. They're strangers, they're all working on completely different things, but at the start you'd say, hi, my name's Chris, I'm working on a YouTube script. And then other people will say what they're working on, and then you just work on it, and at the end you say, how did you get on? I've never done that, my sister has, and I think she said it was really good. But these group online study sessions may work for some people. The key thing is it's tracking your progress. And if you can also write down your achievements questions that you may think of en route, and barriers that will help you. So burnout. If you're overexerting yourself, the advice is simple. If you're doing too much, then do less, conserve more energy. That's really hard to do, I'll tell you. Depletion burnout, another acronym. Calm, competent, autonomous, liberated and mellow. So if you're autonomous, liberated, mellow and competent, then you're less likely to burn out. Remember, we can always write some days off, and if we have time off, don't feel guilty about it. Misalignment burnout. This is occurring if you're doing things that aren't meaningful activities. If that occurs, my advice would be look for some other activities that you do find rewarding. And unsurprisingly, that's Ali's advice as well. Do meaningful activities. A nice trick is about saying yes to things. Don't say yes to a commitment that you'll do something in 6 weeks if you wouldn't say yes that you'd want to do it today or tomorrow. Now, intrinsic motivation, that's your internal drive, and that's really good, and that's mainly what will help you achieve success. But it's when you're struggling, which we all do, that's when we fall back on the extrinsic motivation, goals and things from other people, or targets and potentially rewards, cash bonuses. That's what will help you go in on the days when your intrinsic motivation is a bit low. But if we can do this both using the intrinsic and extrinsic motivations when needed with a positive mindset, that's the essence of feel-good productivity. So remember to celebrate every success. And I'd like to now celebrate you genuinely if you've watched this far. Thank you so much. I'll make plenty of other videos, and I'll see you next time.